If you're like me, you don't have the world's largest Lego or Bionicle collection, but I want to talk about this for a second. I don't want you to let that deter you when it comes to building. Some of my favorite builds that I have ever seen, some of the builds that I think have used the most clever solutions are small builds. And oftentimes they don't require a lot of rare pieces, which I think is actually pretty important. Obviously, if you're familiar with Bionicle, if you've been around with it since its inception, as I have, then you're familiar with the original line of sets, the original Toamata sets, the Taga, the McDonald's Matoran, and so on. And LEGO was able to do a lot with a fairly small platform. And though I think as time went on, things did get better, so to speak, in the sense that, the Taga turned into the Borakva, which were far more posable, or the original Mata became the Metru type sets, not the characters, of course, but that building scheme changed over time. And so we got to see a lot of different and unique takes on new things. But sometimes it's fun to stay humble, to return to your roots, to go back to doing something small, something compact. In fact, I often do so. Many of the builds that I've created when it comes to designing Rahi have been relatively small. And for the most part, that is intentional. Not because it's easier, although it tends to be, but also because there's just a charm to that, which I don't really know how to express. I wanted to show you something very simple today in this video and talk about a handful of very small builds, both my own as well as official LEGO builds as well. But let's focus on the first one here, because there's nothing unusual about this build, but there is something unusual about its color scheme. This right here. It's completely possible. Now, yes, it's silly. There's no yellow staff piece from LEGO, at least not in the traditional Taga sense, but you can definitely make your own pieces and make do with parts that exist using the how, as you can see here, or some other mask. All of these parts exist. Thankfully, LEGO gave us this headpiece from the Mata sets in the heat orange color in 2005, along with some of the play sets that came out that year. Meaning that, yeah, you can just go out of your way completely and make a 100% true to, let's say, the Taga building scheme, but brand new colored character here. This is always something I like to do because I can have it float around the background. People be like, oh, a yellow Taga? And no, I mean, sure, I guess, but it's just a character, right? It doesn't have any name or anything like that. It's not even particularly special, right? At the end of the day, it's just a Taga build. There's nothing fancy about it. Sure, the eyes are purple. That's because I dyed those, but that's not terribly important. LEGO did thankfully give us 3 more eye colors in 2004 with the Metru Matoran as well. No, the thing that makes that eclectic, that makes that unique, that makes it stand out is that color. But at the end of the day, it's just a small, cute little Taga build. A couple of days ago, I actually posted about a polybag that I was able to get from LEGO, which was a Technic polybag specifically. And it was the NASA Mars Perseverance rover, which I think is super adorable. And I definitely recommend getting one because for $5, it's a great little desk toy. And honestly, you can't make the argument that Legos aren't cute when you could just throw eyes right on the front. It's honestly so adorable. And it's such a little simple build. There are some really interesting building techniques in this set specifically. So again, for $5, I say go out and get it, especially if you're someone who likes to collect white parts. I shouldn't say collect, I guess, but if you have a higher proportion of them, a higher ratio of white to other colors. For my Technic collection, I have a lot of white and a lot of orange, mostly because I have the Mercedes Aerox set, which has a decent amount of white in it, a couple of other sets as well. And so this was just a nice little parts pack for me. But at the same time, it's a respectable little build in a very small form factor that has taught me some really cool things, like how these wheels can kind of walk. It's so cute. And I'm definitely going to be featuring this in a short in the future, but it's just a LEGO build. I didn't design it, but it's honestly quite perfect. So I wanted to show you guys something that I picked up a couple of days ago. It is another Technic set from LEGO. I did not design this one either, but it's honestly one of my favorite Technic sets, and it's small. I believe when this came out, it was $10, maybe $12, and that's totally worth it in my opinion. for this. This is a Technic Snow Groomer. And at this size, it's honestly incredible the amount of details that they were able to pack in. This was also one of the sets that I did a Technic speculation sort of project around, though I don't know if I ever featured it in any videos specifically. I decided to go ahead and actually break down the build of this before it was revealed to the public, at least the build itself. We knew what the model looked like, but nobody knew how to build it, so I was like, hey, this is a perfect opportunity to try to reverse engineer it, and I think I did a pretty good job. This set also introduced these brand new sized panels, which thankfully are appearing on more sets. But I think the thing that's most impressive about this set, given how small it is the functionality, because there are 3 functions packed into something of this size. And given the size of it, it looks really good. For a desk toy, again, it probably doesn't, roll around quite as easy as some other things do, but it works. And so that functionality is this gear up here to actually turn the blade on the front. And then there are a pair of levers, one on the back, one on the side here. This side lever just goes up and raises that blade. It does have a little bit of an issue in the sense that when you use that lever, it can kind of like turn the blade back. Not that it matters. It's not on the ground anyway, so it doesn't really matter what angle it's facing. There are solutions for it. I've solved that issue, but it doesn't matter. At this scale, it's really impressive they were able to get both of those in there, let alone a third function in the back with this rear blade as well. And all of these are pretty accurate to what type of vehicle this is, so it feels appropriate. They got a little blue, I would say, chair in there, although it's pretty narrow, so I guess you could say that that could have been done better, and sure, it could have. They could have thrown an engine or something in here, but given how small this is, like I said, I think maybe between 10 and 12 bucks for that set. I got it for 5 because I got it used. It's a great little build, And it's really impressive what LEGO was able to do at such a small form factor, and I'm constantly surprised by it. It's why I, again, encourage people not just to build small sets, but to go out of their way and get them when they can. Of course, be responsible with whatever money you are spending, but at the end of the day, you might often find more charm out of those $10 sets than out of something larger, and I often have. I also think it's, honestly, just a good opportunity to go to something like a Bricks and Minifig or some other, third-party brick LEGO reseller store, because you can get a lot of this stuff on sale. That's where I ended up picking this one up. Picked up a couple of other things as well, which I'll probably talk about in future videos. But it's so impressive what you're able to see. And not to mention the prices being, often discounted at those places as well. Fantastic stuff. I could gush about that all later. In the future, I do plan on hopefully going to one of these stores on video as well. That's way down the line, of course. But hopefully those things will change as the computer and stuff gets upgraded. That, of course, takes time. As you all know, you all have been sticking around with me for these handful of months here. And yeah, it's kind of crazy how things have grown here. But suffice to say, if you take anything away from this video, it's just to experiment. One thing that I would recommend doing is if you have one piece that maybe is your favorite, or a piece that you often return to, but you don't know exactly how to use it, maybe today is the day to dig that piece out and think, what can I make around this? It could be silly. If it's a circular disc, you could make a pair of glasses out of it or something absolutely goofy. It doesn't need to be anything specific. The idea is to just get out of your comfort zone and at the same time, try something you maybe wouldn't have before. With all of that said, before I end the video, I just want to go ahead and mention, last video, not a ton of views yet by any means, but I have had a lot of posts already on the Discord server, so thank you all so much for that. I, of course, want to mention you should check out that last video, the one I posted directly before this one, because it is a little, I don't want to say contest, that's probably not the right term to use, but it is essentially, if you want to see your mocks in a future video, well, that video has all the details for you. And no, it doesn't have an ending date, anything like that. It just, whenever I feel like closing the channel, I'll close the channel and I'll open it again in the future if we want to do more videos like this. But with all that being said, you can check out that Discord, Instagram, or Patreon if you want to support the channel and get some perks, maybe help give the computer a new brother or something. Anyway, you can check that one out in the description as well. And of course, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.